This is another exclusive rock music star interview. Conducted by Thomas S. Warward Jr.
Welcome to episode 38 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Warward Jr. It is November 1st, 2021, and I have the legendary metal vocalist Tim "Ripper" Owens as my special guest. During this feature, Ripper and I discuss his current involvement in the all-star metal trio, the Three Tremors, which in addition to Ripper also includes two other amazing metal vocalists, Conklin and Sean Peck. Three Tremors will be releasing Guardians of the Void, their second release, on November 5th. This three-headed metal monster have released two crushing singles from this album already, Crucifier and Bonebreaker. Three Tremors will kick off a 3-week tour on November 3rd. This will include a must-see show on November 14th in West Seneca, New York. In addition, Ripper also talks about his other new band, KK's Priest, which features KK Downing, formerly of Judas Priest. We also talk about Ripper's time in Judas Priest when he was the lead vocalist from 1996 to 2003. During this time, he recorded 2 studio records with the band, Jugulator and Demolition, 2 live records, and embarked on tours across the world. So here he is, Tim "Ripper" Owens. Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 38 of the Rock Interview Series, and today we have the legendary metal vocalist with us, Tim "Ripper" Owens. Tim "Ripper" Owens, how are you today?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. You are like one of the most busiest people in music, and I could take like 2 hours to talk to you about all the projects that you've worked on over the years. But for this interview, I want to concentrate on one of your current projects that you're working on. Three Tremors are coming out with a new record on Friday. This is your second release. It's called Guardians of the Void, and you guys are also going to be kicking off a tour starting on November 3rd. You're going to be playing in the Buffalo area on November 14th. With the band Hair Nation, local legends Hair Nation with Jim Crean on vocals, and you guys will be playing in West Seneca. So how excited are you to be releasing the second record with these guys?
Well, it's great. We're a great band and great friends, and it's a different type of outlet for me because it's a lot of high singing, a lot of craziness, so I usually sing a little high, but not all over the place. And it's pretty great to have 3 different singers, and we're just belting it out. Everything's over the top with this. Sean Peck put this together, and it's just all straightforward, over the top stuff in the best of ways. The artwork, the music, the singing, it's great stuff. For people who like power metal and classic metal and heavy metal, people are going to love this.
Yeah, one of the things that really kind of surprised me about this project was when you released the very first record a few years back. I was surprised that it's almost sounded like a European metal record. And I was very surprised that everybody was from the United States.
Yeah, I think it does have that vibe to it, and it's funny because the crowds we play in front of are as big in usually in America than they would be in Europe too. So it's even funnier when we did our tours. But yeah, I mean, it has that. I think it's because of everything being over the top. I think it's designed to not be your grandfather's heavy metal. Let's put it that way. It is a heavy, fast, and I think probably a lot of the singing being like that definitely makes it sound like that,
Like I said before, this is the second record you released. Right before the pandemic hit, you were out on tour promoting your first record, and then the pandemic hit and you had to shut everything down. Was this a project that you were working? Because in addition to this, you're also working on KK's Priest, which is KK Downing's solo band, which we'll cook up and do an interview just on that one of these days too, because that's a fantastic record, by the way. Like,
thank you.
I think the record of the year so far.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So was that something that you wanted to work on, or did it just come up where it was a convenient time to work on the follow-ups, the first Three Tremors record?
Well, I think Sean was planning it. It was in the works already, and it probably moved it along a little bit faster, but I really think he had it in the works. I was working on the KK's Priest record. I was recording my vocals. I got done with a European leg of Three Tremors, and then I went to England and recorded my vocals for KK's Priest. And Sean, who's the drummer from Three Tremors, he's the drummer in KK's Priest now, and he went to do his drums. And then we were supposed to do a Three Tremors tour right after that, and that's when it all got canceled. But he was already working on the stuff. He wanted to get it moving along, and I think he probably thought that tour we were going to be doing there in March or whatever was probably going to be the last one before we started recording the record.
I just had a great idea when you were talking about that. Is there any possibility that we could see a KK's Priest and Three Tremors tour, perhaps, with both bands together on the same bill? Could you do that?
Someone will have to fill my shoes in the Three Tremors. You'll have to call them the Two Tremors that night, because there's no way I could sing Three Tremors set and then get up and sing KK's Priest, singing some of the classics and stuff. So yeah, that's it would be good, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah. How challenging is that for you to sing? I mean, like you said before, it's very extreme metal. It sounds very vocally challenging.
Well, fortunately, there's three singers to do it. And, I always say, if I'm not going to be hit, first, and if there's a high part that I just don't want to sing high, I don't have to, because it's new records, it's different songs. There's so many vocals going on that record. I could sing any level I want. But, with three singers, you could take off a little bit if you're under the weather and still be able to get through the set. But even that's being said, it's a really challenging set of music. Even with three singers, it's tough stuff. And I'm really worried about this tour for myself. I've never been nervous, but I haven't sang on a tour like this in a long time. And it's new music. I mean, I'm still sitting here trying to learn these songs. So, it's a brutal tour. I mean, there's 6-7 shows in a row, a day off, 6-7 in a row. So, I'll try to take care of myself. We'll see what happens. If not, I'll just tell Harry to sing it.
Yeah. The great thing about this tour, at least for people out where I live on the East Coast, I'm in Buffalo, New York. And there's for people in the Buffalo, New York area, there's 4 shows within 2 hours that you can go to. So, I mean, that's great. I can't remember last time a tour came where there were so many shows, so close to the area.
Yeah. There's a lot. We hit a lot in that area: Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Erie.
Yeah.
So it's all right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk about the most recent single that you put out for the Three Tremors, Crucifier. Again, a great song. Can you just tell me a little bit of background of that song and how it was written?
Well, Sean writes all the stuff. You could definitely tell lyrically, because Sean's he's a big comic book guy and sci-fi guy and history guy. So he gets to wrap all that stuff into his lyrics. And it makes it nice when you get these songs. And that one's that's a really great tune. It has a great beginning where it's slow like that and starts off. And there's a lyric video out there for that one now, so everybody can see it. And yeah, Sean writes all these things. And, I write a lot of songs about everyday stuff, a lot about, what's going on in the world. And then I'll throw in a scream machine or something about a monster or something. But I'm more of a traditional writer of life, and Sean writes these songs. Amazing lyricist on the topics he does.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that you did with the first record is you also released a companion box set, which you had versions of all the songs sung individually by each vocalist of the band. Is that something that's going to happen again this time around?
I would think so, because what happens, Thomas, is we when we record the album, we record it all. Like I record the whole record. Like Sean sends it to me, and it wasn't. We didn't do that at first because we were going to release solo versions. We did it just then he can pick what he wants. That's what makes it hard to go on tour, is you don't even know what you sang until you get the album right before you go on tour, because I sang the whole record. So we have all the versions in this time as well. So last time we released a record, he called me and said, man, the solo versions, I might release a solo version because it sounds so good. Harry's version and your version sound so good. We should do it. So there's no doubt in my mind they'll do the same thing this time.
Now, I've said earlier that you've been involved in many different projects over your career. Do you feel like right now with KK's Priest and the Three Tremors that, you're pretty happy with those two, or do you still want to take on additional projects at this point?
I got tons of projects. I just recorded a whole record with Pyramid, a Prague heavy metal band. I recorded, it started with one song during the pandemic, and then it was two, then three, then four, then five, then six, then seven. And then I recorded a whole other record that I wrote the lyrics and melodies to, that'll come out down the road. I did one called Leviathan Project that's out on the social out there now. And I did a really cool one called Engineered Society Project. Engineered Society Project. And it's like straightforward, almost like a DOS kind of metal. I love doing all these things. My two main projects, obviously my main band is KK's Priest. That's the main band. And Three Tremors. And I always say my main band for me is KK's Priest right now, Three Tremors, and solo. I'm a solo artist. I tour solo. I'll be putting another solo record out, And then I have great records like A New Revenge, which is a fantastic record. I did a record called Spirits of Fire. So I stay busy.
It must be pretty gratifying to have such a great response.
Well, it's good. And they're always a little different. I don't
Yeah.
sit. I mean, vocally, they're pretty good. I love the second Pyramid record I did because a lot of my different influences came out from David Bowie to, there's a lot of different vocals going on. But I love doing all these bands because they're just different. And then other than that stuff, I sit in my studio and write or record for bands and artists all over the world all the time. I probably did 100 songs last year for different artists. I mean, I love sitting here and I did all the way from a song from Jesus Christ Superstar to, hardcore songs that spin all over the place.
Wow. How great was it to get that call from KK to get involved with him again?
It was great. I've always stayed friends with all the guys in Judas Priest. And definitely I stayed in more contact with KK. When I would come on a solo tour through England, he would always come to the show. A lot of times I'd play a few hours from his house, and he'd always, drive to 2 hours and bring a couple cases of beer for the band and hang out. And so we stayed in contact. I never thought anything like this would happen, but I was really happy. And then when I heard the songs, I was really happy, because I thought that was exactly what we should do.
The only person that could possibly fill that role if KK was going to do anything.
Well, there's great singers out there and great guys and friends, even of mine, that I think would be great with Ken to do that. But I think the difference is we're friends and we know each other and we love to be around each other. I mean, that's not only the singing aspect, you got to have that part of it as well. And there's that connection, right? I mean, there's that bond for the fans and the people that know what's going on. But there's so many great vocalists that Ken could have made a record with, but I think it was that whole bond that we have and familiarity for the fans.
Yeah, you definitely had some chemistry. I mean, from the two Judas Priest records you did together. I mean, those were brilliant records. I mean, a lot of people in retrospect have gone back and looked at those and listened to them and wow, this really is a diamond in the rough, and it's really a great record and deserved, more acclaim than I guess they originally did in some cases.
Yeah.
I know you probably can't reveal any details on this right now, but are there plans for KK's Priest to hit America anytime soon, like maybe in the summertime? Is that something that's being looked at right now, or?
Well, I think they're looking at all of it. I think I don't really know. The difference of putting tours together with me solo and Three Tremors, those are club tours. You do these little fill-in dates. You kind of do it. KK's Priest is that's a big one. Big shows, big stages. He's not going to do anything else other than that. So it takes a lot more work, maybe trying to find go support somebody on a big headlining tour that they're doing or something. But I think it's all open. We have great management. We have great label, everybody working with us to do this. So I think, I know Ken wants to do it right. So that's why it's taken a while. But I say, middle of summer, we'll definitely be hitting the road for sure.
Awesome. If you wouldn't mind, I would like to ask a couple questions about your time in Judas Priest.
Yeah.
My first question is, it took a while for Judas Priest to rebound after Rob Halford left the band. I think it took them like 4 years before they recruited you. What was the band's state of mind when you joined them? Were they? I mean, of course they must have been eager to like rejuvenate their career, but were they still a little bit down that Rob Halford left them at that point?
No. Oh no, they were excited to make music again and get out there. I had so much fun with the guys, and the atmosphere was great. I was treated like family, and their attitude, just look at the live videos of us. Look at the live videos of us then compared to the live videos of Judas Priest now. There was such excitement going on, man. I tell you, I felt bad for them at times because this, the ages of the arenas weren't there when I was in the band, right? This was the mid 90s and the late 90s. So we're playing, but man, they were hungry and ready to roll, and we're enjoying it. We had a great time, and it showed, man. I watched their faces on the live shows and we were having a blast.
Who was the one person, if anybody, that was the person leading the band at the time? Was it Glenn Tipton who was pretty much calling the shots?
Yeah, I think, and I don't think it was, I don't know whether it was by design or not, but yeah, he was always kind of the one the management talked to a lot. Listen, if I looked at it, it was always Glenn and Ken, that was the two, and then before, obviously in the past it was Rob and now, but yeah, it always seemed like Glenn had more of the say.
Mm-hmm. What type of relation did KK and Glenn have? I've read KK's book, and it seemed like it was strained at times. Was their relationship when you were with the band? Were they on like friendly terms, or was it more just like on business terms between Glenn and KK?
I think it might have been business terms, but no one ever talked bad. They never even talked bad about Rob when I was in the band. They never really talked bad about anybody, and they didn't. Listen, they were together a long time, so but everybody was great when I was in the band. It was, everybody seemed all right.
When you were told that Rob was coming back to the band, how were you told? Was it in person, or was it through a phone call?
I think it was a fax.
A fax.
I think emails and stuff were very big at that point. This was 2000 and whatever 3 or something, but yeah, I just got a fax one day. It said that, and I knew it was going to come. And I got to be honest. I've said it a million times that I wanted to do other stuff as well. I never would have quit Judas Priest, but I wanted to do other stuff. I'd already recorded The Glorious Burden. Actually, when they fired me, I'd already recorded it as a guest singer. So, but yeah, they just faxed me one day.
Oh, but it must have been devastating, even though you kind of saw it coming, I suppose.
It actually wasn't devastating, and I've said that it was more devastating to my family and friends than me, because I wanted to do other things and I wanted to make more money. I was actually kind of trapped in an awesome trap, because I love Judas Priest. Like I said, I wouldn't have quit, but as a musician, as an artist, and as somebody, you want to start doing other things. You want to, there's more money to be had out there. We didn't tour that as much as I'd like. We didn't do things. So, I was all right with it. It was time. I went right from them to Iced Earth, which was playing probably bigger crowds at the time than Judas Priest was. So, it was an all right jump.
Yeah, and also when you did join Judas Priest, those were tough times for that type of music.
It was horrible. Horrible times for that type of music. But I tell you the thing about Judas Priest that made it hard, and especially years later when I think of all the time, is the friendship we had, and we did everything together. So what I missed about Judas Priest years down the road afterwards was just the guys, not being in Judas Priest or even doing the tours, because I tour solo. I tour all over the world, Africa, Greece, Israel, whatever, Beirut, South America. But I missed hanging out with the guys, going to dinner, going to the pub, going golfing. That's the stuff I missed with them. But it was a horrible time for heavy metal. 96, 97, 98, 99 was just 2000 was really bad.
They probably had no choice but to have Halford come back at that point.
Oh, there's no doubt. Rob Halford had to come back to Judas Priest, and Judas Priest had to have Rob back. It was a combination, and I think it worked out great for everybody. I'm happy for the guys in Judas Priest. I'm happy for Rob, and I'm happy for me because I get to do things and have a career in music because of Judas Priest.
Yeah. And, you do have a ton of projects going on, but I've always thought that, everybody's putting out a book. And I always thought that if you put out a book, it'd be really interesting because you've played with so many artists over your career. Have you ever thought of that? Or is that a possibility?
Oh, I get asked that all the time. I would put a book out if the money was right. That's one thing. I'm not putting out some little book that I'm not going to make money from. I mean, that's, they made a so-called movie about me that I didn't make a dime from. So I'm not going to do that with a book. So the money has to be there. I mean, it would be a fantastic book. I mean, what a life I've had, and I'm still making music with all these amazing artists and people that I grew up watching on stage and having their records. So it would be a pretty amazing book.
Yeah, and the last two records that you made, I think, are the best records of your career. So you're just getting better as time goes on too. So I also read that there's a possibility that a second KK's Priest record might be released or might be recorded soon. Are you guys already at that point or close to that?
We're not at that point now, but I think now that this album's out, winter's coming up and we're not going to be touring yet, I think Ken's going to start writing. I think for sure before we even tour, we'll probably have another record recorded because we're not going to take this time waiting to tour and not do anything. I mean, I do something. I'm touring nonstop. So, I got January already booked up with the Three Tremors, and I have March booked up doing some stuff in Russia all of March. So, but Ken and I talked, and that's the goal, is to start recording. Why sit there and wait?
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim Ripper Owens, I appreciate your time. I just have one last question for you. I want you to tell the audience we're on the fence about going to see the Three Tremors on tour. Why should they come and check the band out?
Well, I mean, listen, it's a fun show. It's crazy, high notes, crazy music. The band has a blast, and that's the difference. We're not going through the motions, but it's a good time. You got to get out and enjoy a good time and watch people enjoy what they do. It's not going to be, if you're coming for Duran Duran or something else, to just sit back in your chair and drink cocktails, that might not be the show. You still can sit back in a chair and drink cocktails, but this is a good time. It's a fun time. It's a throwback to the 80s, and it's great.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you on November 14th. Again, thank you very much for your time, Tim.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Right. Okay, bye-bye.